I just recorded almost this entire segment without realizing my background light pretty much ran out of batteries. So I've gotten a lot of questions about how I do my studio shots, everything from pre-production to production to post-production, and in this video, that's what we're going to be talking about. First of all, pre-production. Now it looks like I'm in a pretty big, empty room that only has the stuff that I want in it. But actually, it's a pretty cluttered room, it's not that big, and the space that you're seeing is only about 10 foot long by 7 feet wide, and I have to move a lot of things out of the way to keep them out of the shot. Now this shelf here is actually 2 cabinets that I put together, and I like it because it has a natural wood inside which is much lighter, and therefore when I put something black in it, it's not going to disappear into the shelf. You're gonna still be able to see it. And this picture, if you've been following me for a while, you might recognize it, has been in pretty much every single one of my M50 videos. It started out just because it just happened to be in the background of my first M50 video, and then on the shelf and under the picture are just sort of little things that have to do with my personality. I have the Nerf guns, which I play with my kids. I have the lightsabers, which I literally got for $1, even though I'm not a Star Wars guy. I haven't seen Star Wars in close to a decade now, and my kids have never seen Star Wars, but I still play with the lightsabers with my kids on occasion, and so that's sort of something that might remind other people of Star Wars, but just reminds me of playing with my kids. And then I have my camera stuff, I have my audio shelf, and then my video shelf, and now on to lighting. And what I'm lighting this video with is this $60 softbox kit that I got, and then a bounce board on the other side. And what I do is I set this light at 45-degree angles to sort of give myself a Rembrandt style, and then because I don't want the left side of my face to be too dark, I have a $1 piece of foam board on the other side that is giving me a fill light. Next, I have little LED lights that I literally got from the dollar store lighting up my shelves. And then my background light is my YN302, which is a bicolor light, and I have it set to 3200 Kelvin, but then I put a blue gel in front of it, which gives me a little bit of color contrast. I tried for a while taking out the blue gel and just leaving that as sort of a white door, but I really like the color contrast. I like the look that it gives in the video. Next, we have audio, and what I do is I boom a mic underneath of me, and recently I've just been leaving my Rode Video Micro set up. That way I don't have to constantly be setting up my Movo in my studio and then moving it back to my bag, moving it back to my camera. The tripod that I'm using, I got at a camera store for about $30. It's not anything special, it's just a cheap used tripod, and I mounted an Arca Swiss plate on its quick release plate. That way I can just mount the camera in the cage right to my tripod. The stand holding up my LED panel is actually just a little drawer unit that I used the stand that it came with and set it on top of it, but you could use anything like maybe a light stand to mount that light a little higher. So now that we have pre-production out of the way, let's talk about the actual production, and these are the settings that I am currently using for this setup. I am shooting at 24 frames per second in 1080p with autofocus. My shutter speed is at 1/50th of a second, my aperture is at f3.5, and my ISO is at 100. I am using face tracking, that way if I move out of the focus area, it still holds onto my face. My white balance is set to 5600 Kelvin, which is basically a match for the key light that I have. My picture profile is the neutral picture profile with the sharpness at 2, the contrast at -4, and the color tone and saturation at 0, not plus or minus any direction. I've gotten my mic in a good distance, which is about 10 to 12 inches from my mouth, just out of frame, and then I've set my audio levels manually to try and have it peak at about -12 decibels. And I don't actually do a lot of post-production to my footage in any of my videos, but when I'm doing my talking head segments, what I actually use is, in my program, it's called a cookie cutter, but in yours it might be a mask. And what I do is I basically make a circle around my face and then slightly lower the shadows just in that circle. And what this does is it sort of increases the contrast just in that area, sort of drawing the attention away from my background which looks less contrasty and makes you focus a lot more on my face. And that's pretty much all of the post-production editing that I do, besides actually cutting the dialogue together, cutting out all of the stuff that I don't want to keep in there. Well, I think that's about it for this video. If you found it helpful, I'd be grateful if you give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video. With just sort of a but I could change the taking off my I've gotten my mic as close as I can. My camera, if I were to push the camera back